Liam was the only human on the Zarnix research station, floating near a blue gas giant. The station was home to scientists and engineers from 10 different alien species. He was part of the Earth Union Cultural Exchange Program. Liam worked mostly in the archives section, helping translate human files into Galactic Common. It was quiet work, and he liked it that way. But things changed the day he met Scylla. She belonged to a tall, silver-skinned race called the Ural. They were mysterious and graceful, moving like wind through air. Scylla had bright eyes that glowed faintly in the dim station lights. She never spoke much, but when she did, her voice had a soft, musical tone. Liam first saw her during a crew meeting. She didn't look at him, not once, but afterward, she walked past him slowly, her gaze briefly meeting his before she disappeared down a side hall. From that day, Scylla began showing up near him often. She would sit across the room in the shared lounge, reading her glowing scrolls. But Liam could feel her eyes glance toward him now and then. Once, she passed him a drink from the vending machine before walking away without a word. He thought maybe it was just coincidence, until the note showed up. It was left outside his door. Folded neatly, the paper was smooth and smelled like sweet herbs. On it, written in careful script, were the words, "You may peek if you dare." Liam blinked at the note for a long time. He wasn't sure what it meant. Was it a joke? Some alien prank? He turned the note over, looked around, but no one was in the hall. He read it again and again. "Peek at what?" he whispered. His first thought was to ignore it. Maybe it wasn't for him. Maybe Scylla meant it for someone else, or maybe it had a meaning in her culture that didn't match human ideas. Either way, he didn't want to get in trouble. The last thing he wanted was to disrespect another culture. So he carefully put the note in his drawer and went to work as usual. Later that evening, he entered the dining area and saw Scylla sitting, alone, sipping a warm-colored drink. She glanced up, saw him, and frowned. Not a soft frown, a real one. Her eyes narrowed, and she shook her head slightly as if disappointed. Liam stopped mid-step, unsure what to do. Did he do something wrong? He sat a few seats away and tried to eat his meal. But the tension in the room was thick. Scylla left early without saying a word. The next morning, he found another note, same smooth paper. This one read, "You ignored me. I do not understand. Is this a human rejection?" Liam felt a rush of panic. He didn't mean to offend anyone. He decided to go find her and explain. He found Scylla in the observation deck, watching the swirling clouds of the gas giant below. Her long white robes shimmered in the soft light. Liam approached slowly. "Hi," he said. I got your notes." She turned, her expression unreadable. "And I wasn't sure what you meant." He said honestly, in human culture, when someone writes "you may peek," it can mean different things. "I didn't want to do anything that might disrespect you or your traditions." She stared at him for a moment, then tilted her head. "You think too much in my culture. If someone offers you a peek, it means they trust you enough to show you something personal, something only a chosen one sees." Liam felt heat rise to his face. "Oh, I didn't know. You thought it was something else," Scylla finished for him. She turned back to the window. "Humans and their rules?" Liam smiled. Nervously, "We do have a lot of rules. You hurt my pride," she said softly. "But I suppose it is my fault for not explaining." "I didn't mean to," Liam said. "Can I make it up to you?" She looked at him again. Her expression softened, just a little, perhaps. "But next time, don't wait for a second invitation." Then she stood and walked away, leaving Liam alone on the deck with a racing heart. After their strange talk on the observation deck, Liam couldn't stop thinking about Scylla. He kept replaying her words in his mind. Don't wait for a second invitation. Was that her way of saying he had missed a rare chance? He didn't know much about Ural culture, but he wanted to understand more. So the next day, Liam went to the cultural liaison's office. The liaison, a four-eyed alien named Trent, greeted him with a smile. "How can I help you today, human?" Liam hesitated, then asked, "I want to learn more about Scylla's people, the Ural, especially their customs about invitations and privacy." Trent raised his head slightly. Ah, curious about someone in particular. Liam cleared his throat. Maybe, Trent chuckled. The Ural are a quiet people, but their actions speak louder than their words. When a Ural gives you a written message, it means great thought went into it, especially if it's personal. And if they invite you to peek, it often means they are ready to share something sacred or emotional. Liam nodded slowly. I see. I think I misunderstood her. Many do, Trent said kindly. But if she gave you a second note, it means she hasn't given up on you yet. Thank you, Liam said. He left the office feeling both nervous and hopeful. Back in the hallway, he saw Scylla walking ahead of him. Without thinking, he jogged to catch up. Scylla, he called. She paused and turned. Her silver eyes looked calm, but unreadable. Can we talk? He asked. She gave a small nod and followed him into the quiet garden room. There were soft lights, plants from different planets, and the gentle sound of water trickling from a small fountain. Liam turned to face her. I'm sorry. Again, I didn't understand what you meant. I thought your note was a trick or maybe something private I wasn't supposed to look at. But I talked to the liaison. Now I know it was a gesture of trust. She tilted her head. And what will you do now that you understand? Liam took a breath. I won't ignore you again. Her eyes stayed on him. Good. Because ignoring a Ural can end a bond before it begins. Liam felt his heart beat a little faster. Bond? Not a bond like humans think, she said. A connection of minds, thoughts, and respect. It's rare and precious. He nodded. I'd like to try to earn your trust again. Scylla slowly stepped closer, then accepted the next invitation. The next morning, Liam found another note. It was shaped like a folded leaf and shimmered slightly. It read, Tonight, after cycle shift, the quiet chamber. No hesitation. Liam read it 3 times, then placed it gently in his pocket. When evening came, he followed the path through the station to the quiet chamber. It was a small, low-ceilinged room used for meditation. When he entered, he found Scylla already there, sitting cross-legged on a soft mat. A small glowing orb floated beside her. You came, she said softly. Liam nodded. Of course, sit, she said. He sat across from her. The orb glowed a little brighter. This is a memory orb, she said. In my culture, we store emotions and moments in these orbs. We share them only with someone we trust. She held out the orb. This is what I wanted you to peek at. Liam reached out slowly and touched it. The orb pulsed, and a soft image appeared in the air between them. He saw a younger Scylla standing in a golden field, holding hands with someone who looked like an elder. They laughed together. The sky above was filled with slow-moving stars. This is my home, Scylla said, and my mother. She passed last cycle. This memory is one of the last I have of her. Liam's chest tightened. It's beautiful. I share this with you because you feel calm. You remind me of peace. Liam looked at her. I'm honored. They sat in silence for a while, the orb glowing gently. When Scylla finally stood, she looked at him with a softer gaze than before. You peeked, she said. Yes, Liam replied. Thank you for letting me. Next time, she said, I won't have to invite you. She left the room, her steps light, but her presence still lingering. Liam sat there, staring at the fading image, feeling something warm grow inside his chest, not just understanding, but something more. Something beginning. After the quiet chamber meeting, Liam couldn't focus on anything else. Scylla's memory orb stayed in his mind like a song he couldn't forget. He kept thinking about her words. You remind me of peace. No one had ever said something like that to him before. At breakfast the next day, Scylla sat at a nearby table. Usually she stayed alone, but this time she waved for Liam to join her. Surprised, he carried his tray over and sat across from her. She looked at his food and tilted her head. Humans eat eggs that way, Liam smiled. Some of us do. Want to try? She shook her head. I prefer root berries and cloud fruit. Sounds fancy, he said. Not fancy. Traditional, she replied with a hint of pride. They ate in a quiet but comfortable silence. After a while, Scylla looked at him again. Why did you come to the station? Liam thought for a moment. I guess I wanted to see what else was out there. Earth is beautiful, but space makes me feel small in a good way. Scylla nodded slowly. My people send us out to understand other ways. But sometimes it's lonely. No one speaks like us. No one listens the way we do. You're not alone anymore, Liam said without thinking. Scylla looked at him, her silver eyes steady. No, not anymore. Word spread around the station that the year-old girl and the human were seen eating together. Some joked about it. Others were just curious, but Liam didn't care. He was just glad Scylla wasn't mad anymore. One evening, he found another note on his desk. Training chamber. Come see. Liam followed the directions and reached the training room inside. He saw Scylla practicing a slow and graceful movement with a long staff. The way she moved looked like a dance, every motion smooth like flowing water. She noticed him and stopped. You came. You invited, he replied with a smile. Jack was already gone. He dropped from the ceiling, slamming into the hunter with full force. The blow knocked the alien back, but it twisted midair and landed without a sound. Its movements were fast and smooth. Jack didn't attack. He waited. The hunter circled him, testing, watching. It charged suddenly, claws swinging toward Jack's chest. The suit blocked the hit with its arm shield. Jack countered with a sharp elbow to the creature's side. The fight was fast. Each strike was dodged or blocked. Jack felt the suit learning with every second. It moved more like him now, as if it understood his rhythm, his way of thinking. The hunter leapt toward the generator core. Jack reacted instantly. He tackled the creature, rolling it across the floor. Away from the core, the alien shrieked, its claws sparking against the metal. Jack raised his arm, activated the pulse blaster, and fired point blank into its chest. The hunter dropped. Jack stood up slowly, breathing hard. He looked down at the still creature and said, "Cleaning complete." But there was no time to rest. A warning flashed in the helmet. Unauthorized access detected. Command center. Jack's single quotes eyes narrowed. He knew that place, the heart of the base. If the enemy got control of the command room, they could shut down all defenses. Worse, they could open every door and disable the shields. He left the generator room, locking it behind him with a custom code. The sentry drone stayed inside. The base couldn't afford to lose power. As Jack ran through the lower halls, he passed injured soldiers and scattered equipment. Some people stared as he moved. No one stopped him. Some whispered his name, not in fear, but in respect. They didn't know who he was, but they knew what he was doing. He reached the main elevator, but it was offline. He didn't wait. He turned, opened a side panel, and climbed into the old maintenance shaft. He had cleaned it many times. Now he was using it to climb directly to the command level. Step by step, he rose through the darkness. The suit made it easier. Magnetic grips locked into the walls. After a few minutes, he reached the top and pushed open the hatch. The command center was a mess. Panels were sparking. Officers were unconscious. Smoke filled the air. 3 enemy troopers stood around the central console, working fast. Their armor was slim and black, built for speed and tech control. Jack stepped out of the shaft silently. He raised his arm, ready to fire. Then one of the troopers turned and spotted him. "Intruder!" it shouted. Jack responded with a flashbang. Light filled the room. The enemies screamed. Grabbing their heads, Jack dashed forward. He kicked the first enemy across the room and slammed the second into the console. The third recovered and aimed a weapon, but Jack spun, ducked, and fired a short burst into its chest. All 3 were down in less than 15 seconds. He looked around. The systems were still active, but someone had already uploaded a virus into the base armor. He said, "Can you clean the system?" The suit responded with a soft beep. A panel opened on Jack's forearm. He plugged it into the console. Lights blinked. Code scrolled fast. Cleansing system. The suit whispered. After a long moment, the message appeared. Virus removed. Systems restored. Jack nodded. The base was safe again for now. But deep in his mind, Jack knew this wasn't over. They were testing him. This wasn't a random attack. Something bigger was coming, and Jack the Cleaner was going to be ready for it. Lights in the command center slowly turned from red to green. Jack stood quietly in the center of the room, watching the screens. The base's main systems were back online, security doors locked, defense turrets reactivated. The shields over the hangars glowed stronger again. He didn't smile. There was no time for that. The suit showed new alerts. Several parts of the base were still under enemy control. The enemy had not left. They were regrouping. Some had even started setting traps inside storage rooms and unused labs. But Jack knew this base better than anyone. He had cleaned every hallway, every wall, every storage locker. He remembered the cracks, the vents, the broken doors no one fixed. He had been invisible to everyone. And now, it was his turn to use that. He left the command room and moved fast through a narrow hallway. The suit showed enemy activity near the medical bay. It was a large area, one with wounded soldiers and backup supplies. If the enemy got control of it, they could destroy the base's last hope for recovery. As Jack ran, the suit's voice whispered, "Energy low, recommend recharge soon." He nodded. After this, he reached the medical bay door and found it locked. Inside, he heard voices, alien language, deep and sharp. The aliens were searching, moving things, looking for something important. Jack pressed a small panel near the floor. It opened into a vent. He slid in quietly, crawling through the dark metal tunnel. It was dusty just like he remembered. No one ever cleaned this part except him. It gave him comfort. When he reached the end, he looked down through the grate. 3 alien fighters were inside. They had weapons, and they were scanning every cabinet. Jack spotted 2 injured humans on the floor behind a table. They were hiding. Too weak to run. Jack didn't wait. He kicked the grate open and dropped down. The aliens turned. Surprised, one raised a blaster, but Jack threw a pulse disc from his belt. It exploded in the air, sending out a wave of pressure. The aliens fell back. Stunned. Jack moved fast. He struck the first one with his elbow, grabbed the second by the shoulder, and threw him against the wall. The third tried to escape, but Jack grabbed his foot and pulled him down. A few punches, a twist of the suit's arm, and it was over. The room was silent again. Jack walked to the injured humans. One was a young medic. The other was a soldier with a wounded leg. "You're safe now," Jack said softly. The medic stared at him. Who are you?" Jack helped the soldier sit up. "Just someone who knows how to clean." Before they could ask more questions, the alarm in his helmet blinked again. Warning, reactor room breach. Jack stood up, his heart beating faster. The reactor room was the heart of the base's energy system. If the enemy took it down, everything, lights, shields, weapons, would stop. He ran again, this time moving through maintenance halls that only base staff ever used. The walls were narrow and filled with pipes. He jumped over old tools, ducked under broken lights, and reached a back door near the reactor. He pressed his ear to the wall. Inside, he heard heavy breathing and slow movement. Not soldiers, something bigger. He activated the visor scanner. Only one life form inside, but it was huge. Jack pulled out a small drone from his bag and sent it under the door. The tiny device showed the room, dark, full of steam, and standing in the center was a giant alien with thick armor and glowing skin. This wasn't just a fighter. This was a siege unit, made to destroy bases from the inside. Slow, but impossible to stop once it began its task. Jack took a deep breath. "I can't fight it with strength," he whispered. But he didn't need to. He needed to clean up the situation. He stepped back, opened a side panel, and crawled through another vent, one that went straight above the reactor room. Inside the vent, he reached into his belt and pulled out a small box labeled anti-fuel foam. He had used it before, during a cleaning accident in the engine bay. It stopped any chemical reaction instantly, but only in the right amount. He waited for the alien to step under the main reactor pipe. Then he dropped the foam. It exploded like cold snow, covering the alien's head and arms. The creature roared, confused, trying to wipe it off. But the foam hardened quickly, freezing the joints and blocking its sensors. Jack dropped in next. He fired a stun pulse at the creature's legs, then rolled under a pipe and pulled a lever. Metal clamps dropped from the ceiling, locking the alien in place. The reactor room was saved. Jack looked at the creature and said, "You made a mess. I cleaned it up." His visor blinked again. A message appeared. Enemy retreat detected. Remaining forces leaving base. Jack exhaled. But deep inside, he knew something was still coming. Just then, the lights cut off. "Everyone down," Cal shouted aloud as filled the room. Smoke poured in. Cal reached for his comm, trying to contact Vela. "Vela, we need help. Engine bay under attack." No answer. Back in the command room. Vela had heard the alarm, but was blocked by Lang. "Stand down," he ordered. "My partner is in danger." She said, "Stand down." He repeated. Vela looked at the wall, then at Lang. She didn't argue. She ran. She moved fast through the dark halls, her blade ready. The smoke stung her eyes, but she followed the noise. When she reached the engine bay, she saw its masked figures fighting Cal. Without a word, she jumped into the fight. Her blade flashed. One figure fell. The other fled. Cal coughed, still holding his baton. "You came," he said. "I heard your voice," she replied. "You were not calling me as a soldier. You were calling me as a friend. The emergency." Lights returned. Bren and Lin were stunned. Vela looked around. "Someone inside the station wants harm. And now we know," Cal said. "We can stop it, together." The next morning, the station felt tense. Whispers filled the halls, and crew members walked with cautious eyes. The surprise attack in the engine bay had left everyone on edge. No one had expected a traitor to be among them. Cal sat in the command room, reviewing the security recordings. The attackers had worn masks, but one of them had a limp. That detail stayed in Cal's mind. He checked past crew reports and found something interesting. Sergeant Bren had an old injury from a mission 2 years ago. A left leg limp. Vela entered quietly and stood behind him. "You found something?" she asked. Cal nodded. One of the attackers had a limp, same leg as Bren. Vela's eyes narrowed. "He walks with power, but always leans slightly on the left. He was there during the repair," Cal said. "He could have done it. And he tried to stop me from calling for help." "We must be careful," Vela said. "False blame is like a broken shield," Cal agreed. "We need proof." Together, they checked tool logs, hallway scans, and airlock records. After 2 hours, they found that Bren had accessed the engine bay alone 10 minutes before the explosion. No reason was listed in the report. "This is enough," Cal said. "Not for Lang," Vela replied. "He does not trust me. He will think I want revenge. Then we tell him together," Cal said. They found Officer Lang in the upper control deck. He looked annoyed as they walked in. "You again," he said to Vela. "What is it this time?" Cal stepped forward. "Sir, we found evidence linking Bren to the sabotage. He accessed the bay right before the attack." Lang raised an eyebrow. "Do you have full proof?" "Not a full video of him cutting the pipe," Cal admitted. "But we have time logs and movement scans." "This is serious," Lang said. "If you're wrong, it'll damage both of you." Vela stepped forward. "If we are right and you ignore it, more lives may be lost." Lang looked between them. Then he tapped a few keys. "I'll review the logs myself. For now, Bren is under observation. No action until I say so." Cal and Vela walked out. "That's not enough," Cal said. "What if Bren strikes again?" "Then we stay close," Vela said. "We protect quietly." That night, Cal couldn't sleep. He sat in the hallway near the engine bay. The lights were dim. The hum of the station was the only sound. Vela joined him, sitting beside him without a word. "You don't sleep much, do you?" Cal asked. "I listen," she replied. "To what?" "To space. To machines. To people who breathe too fast," she said, glancing at him. "You're worried." Cal nodded. "I just don't like the idea that someone we trusted could do something like this." Vela looked up. "On my world, betrayal is punished by exile. Not because of hate, but because trust is the center of life. Without it, we fall apart. Sometimes humans forgive too quickly," Cal said, "or never at all." What will you do if Bren is guilty? She asked. Make sure he never harms anyone again, Cal said quietly. Vela nodded. Then you're ready. The next day, Officer Lang called them to the command room. His face was stern. You were right, he said. Bren disabled the fuel line. He admitted it after seeing the logs. He said the station didn't need alien hands protecting it, said he wanted to scare Vale off. Cal felt cold. He risked our lives for that, Lang sighed. We've sent him off the station. He won't return. Vela didn't speak. She simply turned and left the room. Cal followed her. In the hallway. She stopped. He did not hate me. He feared me. You were stronger than him, Cal said. And he didn't understand you. You do. She said. Cal nodded. Yeah, I do. They stood in silence. The station had returned to peace, but not everything was fixed. Some wounds remained. Later, the crew held a quiet gathering to thank Cal and Vale for protecting the station. Lynn brought drinks, and others shared kind words. Some shook Vela's hand. Some just nodded respectfully. For the first time, Vela didn't feel like a stranger. Cal stood beside her the whole time. When the lights dimmed and the stars blinked outside the window, he turned to her and said, You didn't stop when others doubted you. Vela smiled slightly, because you never stopped believing. 2 weeks passed after Bren was removed from Outpost Station Zephyr. Life slowly returned to normal. Repairs were done. Systems ran smooth, and no new threats appeared. But Cal and Vela stayed alert. They had learned that trouble didn't always come from outside. It could grow quietly from within. Cal sat at the console, checking supply logs. Nearby, Vela adjusted a scanner for the outer sensors, even in quiet times. They worked like a team. Words were fewer now between them, not because of distance, but because they no longer needed to explain everything. Then the station alarm buzzed just once. Strange, Cal said, turning to the screen. A signal from the border zone. Faint distress call. Vela walked over and leaned close. Can you play it? Cal pressed the button. Static crackled. Then a broken voice came through. Shields down, ship damaged, crew injured. Please, anyone, respond. Vela's eyes narrowed. Location? It's on the edge of the red dust sector, Cal said. About 4 hours away by shuttle. That's far, she said, and dangerous. But if it's real, they need help, Cal replied. Lang entered the room just then, hearing the end of the signal. Don't tell me you're thinking of going. Someone needs help, Cal said. You're not a rescue team, Lang replied. We should wait for command approval. Vela stepped forward. By the time orders come, the crew could be lost. Lang looked between them. Fine. I won't stop you, but take a backup team. Cal shook his head. Vela and I move faster on our own. Lang sighed. You two are stubborn. No, Cal said, smiling. We're just in sync. Within an hour, Cal and Vela were in a small shuttle, flying through empty space. The stars outside glowed softly, and the engines hummed steady. Do you think it's a trap? Cal asked. Vela answered without looking away from the window. Maybe. But a voice in pain is not a thing to ignore. Cal nodded. Agreed. They reached the signal source just before the 3rd hour. A small alien transport ship floated near an asteroid field, smoke rising from its side. Cal slowly brought their shuttle close and opened comms. This is Zephyr Team. Do you need help? A weak voice replied. Yes, please. Our pilot is unconscious, systems failing. They docked quickly. Cal carried a medkit. Vela held her scanner and blade, just in case. Inside, they found 2 alien crew members. One was injured badly, the other weak but awake. What happened? Cal asked. Engine fire. The alien replied. We tried to fix it, but it spread. We sent the call hoping someone would hear. Vela checked the corners of the room carefully, making sure no one else hid in the shadows. Then she nodded to Cal. It was safe. They helped the injured into the shuttle. Cal stabilized the pilot while Vela flew them back towards Zephyr. As they left the dust field, Cal looked at her and said, You were right, it wasn't a trap. Not every shadow hides danger. She replied, Sometimes it hides someone needing help. On the way back, the rescued alien turned to Cal and whispered, You and the Antari woman, you understand each other well. How's that possible? Cal looked at Vela, who was focused on the stars. Then he said, we made mistakes, misunderstood each other. But we chose to listen, to try again. The alien nodded slowly. Rare to see that, especially between different worlds. It took time. Cal said, and patience. When they returned to the station, the crew welcomed them with surprise and respect. Officer Lang even smiled. You both did well, he admitted. I was wrong to doubt you, Vale replied simply. We are better together. Later that night, Cal and Vela stood once more on the observation deck. The stars stretched out forever, but this time they didn't feel so far. Vela, Cal said. Remember when I shouted stop the first time? Yes, she replied. You thought I meant do it again? Yes. She said again, smiling a little. Now, Cal said, I don't need to say anything. Vale looked at him. I hear your meaning even when you say nothing. They stood there, side by side. Two beings from different worlds, one who spoke with logic, the other who moved with instinct. Yet they found something rare, trust, respect, and something close to friendship. Cal laughed softly. You know, maybe we weren't meant to understand each other right away. No, Vale agreed. But we were meant to try. And in that small station among the stars, that choice to try had changed everything.